Two dudes watch cartoons. Two dudes watch cartoons. Two dudes watch cartoons. Two dudes watch cartoons. Yeah.
Welcome back to Two Dudes Watch Cartoons, the podcast where two dudes, that is us, watch cartoons. My name is Evan.
And my name is Alex. And today we're joined by a third dude. Super excited. We're covering a great movie, but first, he needs no introduction. From Survivor 43, Robbed Goddess, I might say, and my winner pick, we have Mr. Owen Knight in the house. Owen, thank you so much for being here with us. First off, before we get into anything, how are you? How is everything in your world?
Everything's good. Thank you all so much for having me. You might be the first person to ever call me a robbed goddess, so I appreciate that. I don't know if that's the arc that most people saw, but yeah, no, I'm good. It's been a couple years since my season. Getting married in a couple months here, so that has been kind of my main thank you. And that's been taking up most of my time. So it's good to take a pause and just watch a fun movie and just reminisce a little bit. I was a big Lego kid growing up, so it's been a favorite and it's held up. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Hell yes. If you couldn't get that, we're covering the Lego movie from 2014. And I know it was, 10 years ago, actually. It feels like it was just yesterday, but it was 10 years ago. This is maybe an instant classic, in my opinion. I was blown away at how entertaining this was, top to bottom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Owen, when was the last time you had watched, or first time watching it, last time you had watched it before this rewatch?
Good question. I think I'd seen it maybe, I rewatched it on a plane maybe in the last 4 or 5 years, and I remember being delighted that I had the option on the flight and that it was still so fun. But I remember, I'm pretty sure I saw it in theaters when it first came out, and Everything is Awesome was stuck in my head all summer. You know, it was just, it really stuck too. Cause I even distinctly remember, the summer of 2016 orientation at my school ended up using it as a song. It really stuck around in my sphere. And, it's a delightful movie. Like you said, it's super fun. Also quick, Evan, your voice is just silky smooth, dude. This is just a delight to listen to.
Oh,
so
wow.
another reason I'm happy to be here. Goodness gracious.
Thank you so much. I got a face for radio. Recently coming off of a kind of a cold, under the weather thing, so it's a little bit in that lower register. But yeah, I appreciate you noticing. Thank you.
Thank you. So this is exciting. I'm glad to have you here. Before we get into the movie, I always just want to do a quick, we don't need to dive into Survivor. I'm not going to ask you anything challenging. That's not what we're here for. My favorite question always for people on reality TV, one moment out there on the island for us that was not shown on television. What was your favorite moment that we didn't get to see as an audience? It's usually something interesting or good. Yeah, sorry to make you think.
No, this is not one I get asked all the time. I have a really fond memory actually from the last day of filming. Well, I have two actually. I'm going to cheat and do two smaller stories. So the second to last day, day 25, I lost the Final Four immunity challenge, and I was very upset with myself. I ended up smacking myself in the face at the challenge. I ended up having a really meaningful conversation with one of the producers about he actually stopped me and said dude, you're such an a-hole to yourself. You really would anyone talk to you this way? Why do you talk to yourself that way? And that was really when the show and production kind of transcended it being a show and really felt like a really impactful life kind of thing. And then I would say the same thing happened on day 26. Cassidy and I were able to just chill and talk while Gabler was doing his confessional. We all had longer confessionals that day. But I'm glad that one didn't make air, because that is when she and I were saying, oh, one of us is going to win. Cassidy, you're probably going to win. And I remember doing my confessional after saying it's a 2-horse race, I think. I'm pretty sure Cass is the inside track. And then we all know how that ended up.
God.
It was a nice moment as friends, but I'm glad that didn't make air.
Yeah, that's funny. You're that one I'm glad didn't make it. For me, my perspective, so going into that final tribal council, you are my preseason winner pick before anything, so I'm rooting for you. I was ooh, Cassidy's got a great shot, and then Gabler came out of nowhere. So I had I feel the double surprise of neither. It was crazy. Yeah. Oh, those are good moments though. Good moments. So I appreciate that. Yeah. And
yeah.
Go
Do we want to talk about our random connection from my season also? Is that in bounds?
Of course,
absolutely.
yeah. So my brother was Owen's dream teamer while out there. So these two know each other very well, and I'm pretty sure you guys still talk to this day. He told me to tell you hi. I was going to do it after the podcast, but here we are. No, this is great. Yeah,
it's such a random fun fact.
Yeah,
I told him this week, and I was like, I'm talking with Owen. He was like, you gotta tell him I said hi.
Yeah,
I mean, he was out there for 4 seasons. 4 seasons, and you were his favorite to play because you went it was great. He loved it. You were his favorite person that was playing because it was great. Yeah. So we're happy to have you here. We're big Owen fans in this household.
As a pretty casual Survivor fan, I think your season was the last one I actually watched, but you were so compelling to watch.
A lot of people tell me that. It turns 43 turns some people off.
Oh no,
no, I'm still.
But you were super compelling to watch. Just the position you were in throughout the game, being backed into a corner and always finding your way to that literal end. Awesome stuff.
Thanks, Evan. I appreciate it. Yeah, it was a good time, and I mean, I certainly complained a little bit here and there as I was backed into those corners, but I had fun. It was a good time.
Good. Okay. To the Lego movie, which everyone is here for. Okay, this movie, like I said, 2014 was also just I was looking at the cast, and you can hear it as it's going on. This has some of the biggest names of an animated movie. This cast is absolutely crazy, and this is what I think is really interesting. I think this is before the public maybe turned on Chris Pratt a little. I think everyone was
that is a fascinating,
I think everyone was super excited that Andy was the lead in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a simpler time for sure.
Because I was and ready for this, I found myself being this is way more like Andy than it is like Star-Lord. And I was like, I love Andy. This is great. I was like, this is my Chris Pratt here.
Yeah, it was back when he was still goofy and lovable and just how is this guy the lead in a Marvel movie? And now it's definitely a different vibe. Yeah, 2014 was just I mean, that was the year I graduated college too. So it really placed me back into that time when just life was easier. So it's makes watching it even easier. Yeah.
I graduated 2014 as well. Was this 2014? Is that pre or post Guard? I guess it would have been probably pre or right around
year
there.
Of Guardians of the Galaxy. So this is Chris Pratt's year. This is really his big break. He's going to be in Jurassic Park soon too. He was everywhere at this time.
Yeah. And I going into this viewing, I think I wanted to let go of those preconceptions of my own baggage with Chris Pratt and who he is today. And it's, it does not detract from this movie. And it is so fun and I don't know, it really does take you back to a simpler time of when this style of comedy was still sort of novel. Chris Lord, or Phil Lord, Chris Miller.
Chris Miller and Phil Lord.
Something like that. So they're the two directors of this film. You might know them from 21 Jump Street, from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, which I think there was a sequel to it that I never watched either of those two movies. Went on to do the Spider-Verse movies, which they are now very well known for. So
killing it.
But yeah, I think this is probably what maybe put them on the map.
Interesting. I think 21 Jump Street was maybe a little before this, and I think that was pretty popular. But what I'll say about this is it's a joke every 10 seconds. It is so tight. You're missing jokes. I think this is a movie that really benefits on a rewatch, if anything.
100%. I completely agree. The dialogue is not wasted. It's a clever joke. And certainly some of the jokes are just very on the nose and direct, but I found myself laughing so much yesterday when I was watching it.
Out
everything
loud.
was so clean. And I mean, the amount of times I laughed when like they made a Vitruvius being blind joke. I don't know, like maybe not the most correct thing, but just like him like standing watch or bumping into a wall. It's just like, golly, but I couldn't not laugh. It was
the
great.
Ocean 11s. He's like, Vitruvius is going to keep watch. And he's like, all clear. And he's staring at the wall. That was
amazing.
Top-notch comedy. That was really great. He goes, I'm going to sneak around this corner. Everyone falls down. I agree. There was never a wasted dialogue. And there was like a ton of physical comedy. Like it was just so jam-packed in all, what was it? So it's an hour and 40 minutes, which kudos to that. Me and Evan have a big
101 minutes.
That's 101 minutes. Beautiful. I could eat that. Oh, amazing.
Child's play. Yeah.
Great. That's what I want when I go into a movie. And it just, like I said, was so fun script-wise. I think that, like, there's a lot of strengths in this movie, but I'd say overall, the script is where its heart lies. And the voice actors just seemed like they were having fun. Like, I don't know, like, I could hear it, I feel like, in all of them. They were having a good time making this movie.
100%. Like, there was just a lot of just, like, chutzpah behind everything. It was just excited and fun, and, like, just so many of the stingers just, like, have stuck in my head. Like, the part where he's getting lasered, or when Emmett is just, like, going, like, and it, like, repeats the same scream, like, 4 times. Like, that is ingrained into my brain, and they just deliver it so well, and it's fun.
We were talking about the song earlier. I have not thought of that song in probably like 8 years, 7 years, like a long time. Those words have not came into my mouth. As soon as the music started, I was singing it out loud, and I knew every single word. I knew every single word the whole thing. I was like, whoa, this has unlocked a memory I forgot I had.
Just deep in the recesses of your brain. It's waiting to be untapped. Yeah, exactly.
The song, was it? I know the rapping in that was done by Lonely Island, Andy Samberg. I don't know who else collaborated on the song, but that must have been up for an Oscar. I would imagine, maybe
the
won,
song,
or at least performed at the Oscars.
Oh, let me see here.
I certainly hope so.
Alex, while you're fact checking that, let's run the numbers a little bit. So it came out 2014, runtime 101 minutes. Chef's Kiss, made on a budget of $60 to $65 million, and made back $470.7 million. So
I got another interesting number stat for you.
Okay.
Lego sales increased 15% worldwide after this movie dropped.
Wow.
That's incredible. Do you think Warner Brothers gets a cut of that?
Probably not, because I think that's why the movie's made is. And, I actually did some research today on the movie. So first off, the song is Everything Is Awesome with 3 exclamation points. It's by Tegan and Sarah, featuring The Lonely Island, which Tegan and Sarah, that is not really their style of music at all. I would call them much more like indie. Am I wrong in saying that? I'm not the biggest music person, but like that's really surprising to see.
Yeah,
not who I would have guessed on that for sure.
Wow. Okay, sorry, that really surprised me. But so, the big thing, Lego said, if we're gonna make this movie, we don't want it to be an hour-long advertisement. They were like, that's not what this is gonna be, and I just respect the living hell out of that. So, like, I mean, from the jump, it isn't going to be like a Space Jam 2 where they're just like fit as much in as possible. They were making a movie and they just kind of had like that imagination, free master builder, free reign. And it really showed and it shined throughout this movie. I was so impressed with everything in this movie.
You mentioning Space Jam is an interesting observation to me because this movie strikes me almost as a tour of like Warner Brothers like IP, and it is done much better than it has been done since in Space Jam 2. It's like a much better treatment, a lot of creative liberties taken. But yeah, I don't know. Mattel, I know recently have talked about they've been in the headlines. They have a lineup of like 14 movies in the works.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, I guess they're 2 for 2 right now on like certified hits with this Barbie, but let's hope
the Will Ferrell
that quality.
It's the Will Ferrell big bad boss verse is what they need to call it. So one thing I noticed was the animation style. I convinced myself for a minute that it was stop motion, but it is not. It is computer generated, but it's supposed to look stop motion. So I will say they did a great job. And throughout this whole movie, once again, like I said, the script is the strongest part. The animation was mind-blowing. It literally, like, it was all exact Lego pieces, unless it was obviously something from the real world. But I was just, like, so impressed by the attention to detail. Like, even the water coming out of the shower and the soap. It was just, like, it was not necessary, but it made my viewing experience, like, so much more enjoyable.
Yeah, I went through that same thought process rewatching it. Like when you meet Emmett in his apartment and he's like bending back to crack his back and everything. I'm like, wait, how did they do this again?
Yeah.
And I had that exact same thought. And yeah, I remember the first time I watched it when I think it's Bad Cop interrogating him and he like throws the water and then you see the little 1 dots of water come out of the cup. I was like, oh wow, like they're really doing it. And I loved in the master building scene where they're like scanning for certain pieces and calling them out by name and everything. Like it was great. Like, and as a Lego kid, like I'm an only child. I played with Legos so much and making all these like bastardizations of X-Wings and stuff. Like it really just like spoke to me at the time and like really brings me back. So it was joyous. And I think it does an honor to just like as like that childlike sense of invention when you're playing with Legos. I think they really did a good job. But then, as we've discussed, the dialogue, the narrative, like it flowed as a movie too, and didn't just feel like this self-aggrandizing product placement fest.
That's actually such a great point, that this was like at its core a movie first, not an advertisement, not a Lego thing. And they were so able, Chris Miller, Phil Lord, goats. Okay. They were so able to capture the joy and the essence of like Lego building. Like, yeah, you have these kits and you can build Hogwarts and you can do all this, but then when you're done with that, you get to mix and match and you have the Power Rangers fighting in Hogwarts, and it really was able to turn like a really cohesive and like heartfelt story. I think that was the biggest shock. Is I remember being kind of emotional in 2014 in the theater when it finished. And I knew it was coming this time, and it still kind of got me. I was like, this is so good. At the very spoilers at the end, it's Will Ferrell and his son, but I was like thinking, I was like, should this be throughout the whole movie? And I was like, no, it takes away from all of the themes and messages of the battle that Emmett's going through, of like trying to be special and cool and unique and make all these buildings. And I love it. I love it.
One thought occurred to me in the sort of climax of the movie, the emotional moment where Vitruvius sort of states the moral of the story is that anyone can be the special, or what is the chosen one or whatever. And I was like,
the special.
Did Phil Lord and Chris Miller just recycle that for Into the Spider-Verse? Anyone can wear the mask.
Anyone can wear the mask.
You know it works. Kudos to them. So they did co-write the movie, and then I saw in the production process, someone was actually brought in to maybe co-direct with them that later went on to be the animation supervisor, Chris McKay, and he works on Robot Chicken. And I think you can see some of that like frenetic pacing in it as well, in the animation and the joke telling. So it's just like, I don't know, that I also kind of liken it to like a Rick and Morty. It's not quite the same thing, but just like the pacing of the comedy in this keeps it moving.
It's like 30
it's like an efficient vehicle.
It's so fast, and every line is either a setup or a punchline almost. It's like really good. I was like, this is not like it's made for children, I'm doing in air quotes, but like this script is not like kids can't keep up with it. I just thought it was so creative and clever, and it was laugh out loud hilarious. Like, okay, the part where I also loved that, eventually Emmett finds the piece that is making him the special one. The
piece of resistance.
The piece of resistance.
Yeah. I loved all the phrases and terms in this too. Okay, so the piece of resistance, and So Wild Style thinks he's the chosen one and they're leaving. And I like how she quickly learns out that he's not the special, but she was like, hold on, he's like, Octane's a great company. And she's like, hold on, what's your favorite song? And he's like, excuse me, he goes, yeah, he goes, everything is awesome. She goes, favorite show, Where's My Pants? And I was like, she goes, uh-oh. And like, I just like thought it was so funny. And I couldn't think of the line. I'm sorry, I'm rambling here. She goes, what's your favorite restaurant? He goes, any chain restaurant. I was like, oh, this is so funny the way they're really trying to nail like the lack of an original idea in Emmett's brain.
Yeah. And when he's rattling off all the things that Octane makes, they make coffee, they make the voting machines, and he's like, oh, that's weird. I was like, oh, like I didn't realize they were that. Like,
he lists like
said,
good
so
things,
quick and smart. Yeah.
Music, coffee, voting machines, surveillance things. I think he says like all the voting machines. I was like, that's pretty funny.
Yeah,
it's pertinent.
Scary.
The script was tight, and I had forgotten it was Phil Lord and Chris Miller, and the 21, 22 Jump Street movies hold a special place in my heart because they filmed 22 in New Orleans on Tulane's campus when I was a student there. So I was actually an extra in that movie, but you can't really see me.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I got to be there for a day of filming. It was pretty fun. But that has held up as one of my favorite like comedies. Like those were great. And similarly, like we've discussed, like the dialogue, the jokes, like it's all tight. Really clever and the plot twist and everything. Like I don't know about y'all, but like when it was revealed that the Craggle is an old tube of crazy glue where the letters are scraped off.
So good.
When I first saw that in the theater 10 years ago, I was like, oh my God, like that's so clever. I remember like being mind blown by that.
No,
I don't know if that says anything about me, but I loved it. I loved it.
It's all those tie-ins. It's all those, it's like, yes, obviously it's very creative, it's very funny, but it's like believable for the setting and the character, especially you know the man upstairs. Is that what they refer to Will Ferrell's son as?
Yeah.
It's kind of cute. Like I don't know, all of it is super emotional and like it gives it this like nostalgic sheen to it that is very impactful. Like I remember, I mean, seeing Will Ferrell appreciate his son's like handiwork towards the end of the movie is like
that was
like you're like aw, but then also when you're back in world and Chris Pratt Emmett comes back from the dead and is like a master builder and building whatever he wants and like doing a crazy contraption, I was like, oh, that's pretty fucking sweet. Like he just went like Super Saiyan. Like, it has those like, I don't know why I get like, I've never watched a Lego movie before, but like I feel emotional. I feel on top of the world right now.
100%.
Yeah.
A cool fact also, when you see all those like ID numbers when they were in the master builder form, those are all 100% accurate too. Like they took the time to make sure like they got every brick ID proper, and every brick you see in the movie is a real life Lego. And as we learned, we had a Lego builder on Gideon. They don't make new Lego pieces anymore. Like they said the last time they made a new Lego pieces like really long ago. So Lego themselves like repurposes and retools different pieces. So I just like love the whole engine. What does Will Ferrell say at the end? He goes, "It's not a toy. It's a complex interlocking brick system." I was like, they should call it a complex interlocking brick system movie.
And the son's like, it says like 11 to 14 on the box. He's like, that's a suggestion.
Even when Will Ferrell's trying to be serious, he like can't help but like shine through a little bit of humor. When he was like, I accidentally took the top of the tower off. He's like, you accidentally masterfully removed that top of that tower. I was like, that's just Will Ferrell just eating the scene right now.
Yeah. Will Ferrell as a protagonist is great. And, you know, obviously it's because he's like mega successful now, but like, I think it's like it's the double-edged sword of him, like being sort of in like a retirement state. He's like not in as much stuff as he used to be. He's more.
Dude, you see what he's been producing,
he's Succession and all this other stuff. And,
he's killing it. He doesn't need to be in all these things.
As an individual contributor, as a player on the field, he is incredible. Like in those small moments, and in the voice work too.
I think that was one thing. Sometimes we get professional like A-list celebrities in these animated movies that either haven't done voice work or it's just not their strength. Every celebrity in this movie, I was like, oh, you're like killing this. Like there was no one I was like, you're flopping right now. You're flopping. But so Will Ferrell in particular, he's one. I mean, I've loved him ever since he was on SNL. He, to me, has like found such a funny niche role as this like evil villain, like this goofy evil villain that we like semi can't take seriously. Like, I mean, his role's very similar to the Barbie one, but like, it's like, I don't even care. Tie. It's even I just love it. Like, I think it was so like, oh, and President Business. This is one thing again on second rewatch that I thought was so good. His whole like get up, his like fire horns at the top are 2 little coffee mugs, and his cape is a tie, like just like a red tie. And I was like, this is so funny. I didn't
even notice.
It's just like small, tiny details that like, I'm just like, this is so good. And then Will Ferrell comes down, he's wearing like the same red tie as the cape. And I was like, that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Yeah, he's killing it in this like caricature of like the problematic white man role, basically. And
that's a good point.
Because that is so antithetical to what he like is in real life, and it's awesome. It's like not what you expect, but he plays it so well. You feel like, I don't know, like almost like safe watching it, if that makes sense. Like, you know, he's not actually evil, and it's like, no, Will Ferrell's not actually gonna hurt you or like be terrible to his son, but he still he does the serious face and like the like almost like disappointed tone really well. But then the emotional notes really hit because it's just like we all love Will Ferrell. Like, how can you not love him? You know,
that's what I'm saying. He had like serious, emotional, and goofy all under one roof, and I think he knocked all 3 out of the park.
Yeah, and part of that time capsule thing is, I think there's a recent trailer. He's got a new documentary coming out. Will and Harper, about one of his SNL coworkers, transition, and he goes on a road trip with them. And like, one, I'm excited to watch that. 2,
same.
Watching this movie and seeing his hair is still brown and it's not like all white and gray and like, oh man, dude, our heroes are getting older. I'm like, it made my mortality set in a little bit. I was like, oh, dang.
Yeah, 100%.
I get what you mean. Yeah, but yeah, just like a great guy also on the side, like in a time where somebody, I won't get into political stuff here. Great guy, love
great
him.
Guy. No, we love this. Well, and he's killing his retirement. Like you said, he's producing all these great shows and he's like supporting women directors and he's, you know, using his platform in a very responsible way. And it's just like, it doesn't seem that hard to do. And it's like, why don't more celebrities do this? Because these seem like fun roles and fun projects. Like it's awesome. Yeah, mad respect.
He always seems like he's having a blast. I just love that so much. Like that feels important to me. And you get that across with him. But I mean, so we've gushed over Will Ferrell. Will Forte is also in this. Will Arnett is in this. There's a lot of Wills.
The 3 Wills.
Let's so getting into some of this. So Chris Pratt plays Emmett. Thought he actually did great for the role. Like I wasn't left needing anything from him. And then I thought another standout. We should maybe see him in an animated film. Will Arnett as Batman, I thought did pretty damn good.
He's great, I mean, good enough to warrant his own Lego Batman movie.
I forgot about that actually. Yeah, you're
which
right.
Was also sort of a hit in its own right.
I think they've done a few movies after this that are successful. I think there's a sequel to this. There's a Batman one,
and then they did a Ninjago one, which I did not see. I don't think it did very well.
But,
the
and then
Batman one did do well.
Good. Yeah, Will Arnett deserves it. I'm a big Arrested Development fan.
If I'm not mistaken, Michael Cera plays Robin in Lego Batman.
Oh, that's funny.
Arrested Development.
I love that
there.
So much. I love that.
But
then we also have Elizabeth Banks as Wild Style. We have Morgan Freeman, which we've talked a lot about Vitruvius, but Morgan Freeman was so funny in this. He was really funny. And then we have Charlie Day as the space rocketer Benny, Alison Brie as Unikitty, and then there's just like a long laundry list of famous people cameos. Nick Offerman is the pirate. Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum are Superman and Green Lantern. And so that was really funny when So, I like didn't catch this the first time. I feel like this is like all new to me, but like Superman not liking Green Lantern was like hilarious to me for some reason.
Yeah, it's like,
Oh, we're
so do you want to
roommates.
sit together at the meeting? Like, no, I got to go back to Krypton. Like, wait,
It's like, doesn't that blow up?
destroyed? Yeah,
It's like, what do you
so
mean?
good.
Yeah. And Jonah Hill, like, only had a few lines, but he nailed that, like, eager, like, oh, you want to sit together? Oh, my God. Really good. Everyone, like I said, everyone that had a line in this movie, I was like, you nailed it. You nailed that line.
Also, shout out to whoever did the Han Solo voice. I was questioning, like, did they get Harrison Ford for this? Because
I did
it was Billy D. Williams, and I was
Yeah.
like, that I can tell. But I was
Yeah.
like, is that Harrison Ford? Like, it was very close. It sounded like him.
Both voices were so close. I also had to look that up. It was sweet. They had Billy D. Williams. And then they also had Shaquille O'Neal voice Shaquille O'Neal. I thought that was hilarious when they were like, what do you think, Shaquille O'Neal? And he's like, we got this. And he throws the basket. Just so many goofy bits that were so funny.
I don't have the voice actor's names pulled up, but I know the C3PO shows up in the movie, voiced by the C3PO.
Oh, Anthony Daniels. Yeah, that
Yes.
was him. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
But I think the Han Solo voice actor was just a voice actor doing
Yeah.
the
killed
impression.
He
Yeah.
killed it. There's also
Very
Keegan
well
Michael
done.
Keel, Jake Johnson, Dave Franco, Colby Smulders, like just a long list of like really famous people that just showed up to do a couple of lines. Oh, and then oh my God, we didn't even talk about Liam Neeson as good cop, bad cop.
That was
He might be an unsung hero of this.
Liam Neeson to me is like a pretty serious dude. Like, how did they get him in the booth? And then I also read the director wanted him to record the good cop and the bad cop lines separately, but he was like, no. And he just did them back to back, and they were like, that's
Amazing.
great. They were like, you nailed it. You don't need to do them separately.
he was fantastic because, like, I mean, for me at least, I always associate him with Taken, you know, and just such like a serious, like, I'm gonna find you and kill you kind of voice. And like when you see Bad Cop walk in, you're like, oh my God, it's Liam Neeson. But then you hear him do the goofy, like higher pitched version. Like, it was great. It's just fun.
I almost wasn't sure it was him, the higher pitch one. I was like, is this him?
I wonder if he like pulls out the Taken cell phone prop to like get into that bad cop voice. Like
Just get back in that
method
headspace.
acting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's I like when like actors, I feel like they like when they're letting their hair down, having some fun. Like,
Yes,
Liam
and that's
Neeson's
what
such
this
a
whole
serious guy.
That's what this
Yeah.
whole movie is. It's incredible to see. So this was I think the first feature film from Warner's animation group. It was like a new division spun up, which makes me wonder like what was the banner they were putting out animated
Before
film
that.
under like previously. This does have a sequel. There's two, and then there's the Lego Batman movie. Two made, I want to say 200 million on a budget of like 100 million, and then Lego Batman I think did 300 million at the box office. And this seems like a franchise that paid for itself and then some. And I'm just like, obviously Warner Brothers is not in a great state because since the merger, probably before the merger, but seems like a wasted opportunity that we've gone so many years. I guess I don't know when Ninjago
I think they're
came out.
doing also a documentary about Snoop Dogg and Kendrick Lamar Lego. Okay, wait.
What?
Now, you guys are both looking at me like I'm crazy. I
In
swear.
Lego?
I've not heard about this.
I swear this is a thing. Hold on.
Oh my gosh.
You guys are both
Are you sure it's
looking
not
at me
another
like I'm
parody Twitter account you
crazy.
got duped by?
No, that happened one time. Time.
I must know how they do.
It's
like,
Ferrell.
Lego.
It's Ferrell. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's Ferrell Lego documentary, which includes
Okay.
Snoop Dogg, Justin Timberlake, Jay-Z cameos. Oh, it said it came
Gotcha.
out earlier this year. I haven't seen it, but
Oh,
it is a
no.
Lego property. Wait, maybe it's
Amazing.
not. No, it's Jay's brick. No, I don't know. It says it's Lego. It says it's a Lego documentary.
Yeah, Gideon, our former guest who works for Lego, did mention, he was like, we should talk about this sometime. I was like,
I
oh,
was
this
like,
is the first I'm hearing of this.
It's Ferrell.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Okay, so they're
That
doing
makes more
things.
sense than a Snoop Dogg documentary. I was like, how are they going to do Lego weed and
You're like,
gin
how
and
is-
juice? Like, how is that
Yeah.
going to work with the bricks? Like, I don't
No.
know.
We need Tegan and Sarah to do
We're gonna have to make some new pieces.
Pharrell's Happy song
There you go.
Do a remix for the
Oh,
Lego documentary.
Everything is Awesome feels a lot like Everything is, or oh my God, I just mixed up the two. Everything is Awesome feels like the
Happy.
song.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
It took me way too long.
I would put Happy up there. I would put Frozen, Let It Go
Oh yeah.
up there. I can't think of, there hasn't been one that has really pierced the
like
zeitgeist.
beyond the movie, just like my friends and I really got into the song from Moana. Oh my God, why am I blanking on the name right now? How Far I'll Go. Yeah, that one was a favorite for us for sure.
I did think we don't talk about Bruno made pretty mainstream, but it died down. Trends don't last as long as they used to nowadays.
No.
I don't have a car at the moment, so I'm getting a lot of things delivered to my house. Marty has made it so easy because not only are they fast and efficient, but they're the cheapest option out there by far.
I get these matcha lattes that retail for like $45 for a 12-pack. And I've never bought it full price. I get it on Marty for $15. Marty's woman-owned, sustainable, socially conscious, and eco-friendly. What they do is they buy up surplus inventory from the top brands that you love, and they sell it to you at a lower price, so you save food waste and you save money.
That was my first question, was how do they get these things so cheap? But they have a model, and it's passing savings on to you. They got hundreds of items, fast shipping, no subscriptions needed, and you can save on all the great food that you love. We do have a discount code when you go to marty.com/2dudeswatchcartoons, all one word.
TWO, Dudes Watch
TWO, 2 Dudes Watch Cartoons, all one word. You can save $5 off your order.
Go to marty.com/2dudeswatchcartoons at our link in bio, or just plug in the promo code 2dudeswatchcartoons. That's TWO, Dudes Watch Cartoons. Thanks for supporting the pod. Go get yourself some delicious snacks. Alex, go figure out the car situation. I don't know what's going on.
I didn't need to with Marty.
Back to the episode.
Two dudes watch cartoons.
Okay, but so we've gone a surprisingly long time not talking about any plot in this movie because it's so funny. So just to give a recap, I mean, we don't. If you haven't seen the movie, go watch it. It's on Netflix for like 2 more weeks. You can do it. The whole point is Emmett has essential. I'm gonna break it down in real life human terms, not Lego terms. Emmett's got the cap to the crazy glue, and they're all gonna be frozen and stuck in place by Mr. President Evil, President Business, if they don't stop the crazy glue and get the cap on. And I love the twist that he's like, I heard it might explode when you put it on. That's just another great Morgan Freeman bit where he was like so serious and he's like, well, I don't know, it might explode. And he's like, Emmett's like, so it might not? He's like, yeah, it might not.
Sure, yeah. And one quick thing on the plot too, I had missed at the beginning. So the whole setup is that like Emmett is such a rule follower. He's following the directions on how to say hi to his neighbors and make breakfast. And he's like, he has really no personality. And then you get this kind of heartbreaking scene where his coworkers barely remember who he is.
So
it was so brutal.
It's brutal, yeah.
Brutal. And I had noticed too, up until that point in the movie, he'd always say like, hey, Alex, hey, Evan, and no one said his name back. And everyone was like, hey, man, hey, dude. Like, no one said, hey, Emmett. And I was like, oh. And I thought Chris Pratt did a good job because, like we were saying, he was kind of in his Andy Dwyer, Golden Retriever kind of energy. But I thought he captured, like, the sadness of that really well. And you're like, oh, like, I feel really bad for Emmett. He seems like a sweetie.
Just
like,
wants to make friends.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He's like trying to read the rules and books on how to do it. Remember, these guys are like, who wants chicken wings? And then another one's like, who wants sausages? As if like these are their personalities. Like, oh, I was like, get out of here with that. And then they were like, well, Gail's always upbeat. And I was like, okay, so it's not all food.
Yeah, it's not all based on the prop you have clipped in your Lego hands. Yeah.
The one coworker clip that gets me so good is like, they're showing like the interviews is like, this is me talking to Susie. Ha ha ha. This is me talking to Emmett.
It's so mean.
Such a dramatized version of it. Yeah, and he really nails. He's like, see? Told you I was a nobody. Yeah. And it's like, oh, no, Emmett. Yeah, he did nail that. And that was like, I almost at one point in the movie thought they were gonna lean into like, well, you're not special, and that's what makes you special. And they kind of subverted that, but I was like really worried. I was like, oh no, I was like, is this where this is going? But no, I think they did a good job of everyone can be special. To skip to the end, when the kid is like talking to his dad, when he goes, what would the construction worker say to President Business? He's like, you don't have to be the bad guy. And I was like, once again, a dagger through the heart. I teared up in this moment. I was like, damn, that's so good. Like, Will Ferrell is just getting in his own way. Like, just have some fun with your son, man.
It's the producer talking to Owen.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You're not the villain of this story.
You're not, yeah.
Be nice. You don't have to live this way.
Yeah.
I had forgotten. We're all over the place with the plot. Anyone who hasn't watched this will have no idea.
Jump
but
around,
that's okay.
yeah.
But the
Spoiler
Duplo,
alert.
the Duplo reveal at the very end got me. That was so funny. I had forgotten about that. Because Will Ferrell says to his son, you know, they're playing, they're fine, not crazy gluing everything, and it's like, well, now since you're allowed to play down here, I have to let your sister. And then it cuts back to the Lego world, and all these Duplo robots come back, and I think I had read they had like Phil Lord's kid do the voice line or something, because it's like clearly a baby talking,
infant,
a toddler. Yeah,
I love when they have kids like do voiceovers like that. And I also think this is something, this is not a proven theory, but I think it's hard to end a movie on a joke. And I think this one nailed it. That was the end bit. Like the very last beat was her toys coming in and speaking. And I was like, that brilliant. That was great. I will admit. All right, this is my shameful moment. Marvel has cooked my brain. I was like, is there a post-credit scene? I started rewinding a little. I was like, is there going to be anything? I was like, no.
Yeah, maybe a mid-credit, but not a post-credit. Yeah. Is there something funny happening in the credits? Are they doing bits in the credits? Yeah.
I was like, shoot, Marvel got me, and it's not even a Marvel movie.
I know.
Man, yeah, it's not to dunk on Marvel, but yeah, the getting
no, we do it a lot here.
Having to do homework to enjoy any Marvel product now it's starting to get to me. It's starting to get to me a little bit, but
it's bad. Yeah.
Do y'all remember anything about the Lego Movie 2? Because I was trying to rack my brain before this. I was like, I think I saw it, but I don't really remember what happened. Do they pick up with the Duplo?
So I have seen it. I think most of the voice cast has returned for the second one, which to me is the testament of if it's going to be good or not. Like, especially back in the day, you'd be an all-new cast of, like, an anime. You're like, oh, no. Yeah. But so most of the cast is back. It's not everyone. It's not as star-studded. But to your point, if I saw it, I don't really remember much about it.
Nor do I.
Yeah.
I want to say it was kind of Batman-focused, if I'm being honest. I really feel like Batman played a big part in it. Maybe I'm just thinking of the Batman Lego movie. I don't know.
Batman movie. I also have a vague feeling that I watched it. My guess would be that it centers more on Elizabeth Banks' character, Wild Style.
But yeah, it's got a 84% on Rotten Tomatoes, whereas I think the first one had like 97 or something.
Yeah,
so
we
certainly
didn't even
not
do
banned,
that. What is it on Rotten Tomatoes? Do you have it? We usually do that at the top.
Let's see. Lego Movie
is 96 on the tomato meter.
Wow, 96 on the tomato meter.
Yeah. Elizabeth Banks.
I love her.
We haven't talked much about her. Does a great job as Wild Style. I think some of the funniest jokes to me are when everyone asks Wild Style, they follow up her introduction with, "Are you a DJ?"
Are you a DJ? Yeah.
So it's some of those like just like very quick jokes that are such incisive commentary. Kind of on the time, I feel like, you know, DJ EDM was like on the rise in the early aughts or the mid aughts around then.
Even Vitruvius was like, "Oh, are you my old student that used to go by Darkwing?" Or what? Like he starts listing off all these names, and she's like, "Yes, fine, that's me."
But it's great franchise picker. Like she's in this, she's in the Hunger Games. She's got Pitch Perfect under her belt. She like has done no wrong. I guess I don't know much more of her body of her filmography,
she's sneaking her
but
way into all of them. That's good.
But and she's got one of those voices that just like she sounds like someone you know. It doesn't sound like unapproachably like too regal or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, but then you see her in the Hunger Games and she plays Effie so well, and like this, like, you know, the capital like douche character. And, you know, well, she's not, but like, you know, the accent and whatnot. But like in
The
this, it's
epitome
just
of-
like, yeah, it's I thought she did a really nice job. And another through line joke that I enjoyed was like the "I have a boyfriend" kind of thing going.
That's like such a normal joke, I feel like, that we see all the time, where out of the blue she was like, I have a boyfriend, and he goes, I don't know why you said that. And she's like, so don't get any ideas. And or she's like, so don't think about anything. And he's like, I never think about anything. And I was like, that was so funny, that little interaction. And she literally did do it like out of the, she's like, I got a boyfriend. And you're like, oh my God. I thought she was great. I'm also pretty sure, you guys are going to look at me crazy again if I'm wrong, pretty sure she directed Cocaine Bear.
Wow.
I feel like she was involved. That sounds right.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't get the crazy
Amazing.
looks this time.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. She did direct Cocaine Bear.
Hey,
Amazing.
Kudos to these famous people doing interesting stuff and not just trying to retire on Marvel money. To dunk on Marvel again.
Looking at you, Robert Downey.
We're looking at you, RDJ.
God.
Chris Evans.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot she was the love interest in Role Models. That's one of my favorite comedies. I love that movie.
Role Models back in the day. That was so fun when they're LARPing at the end of the day. It's like so serious. So good.
That's one of like the like pillars of my high school movies. You know,
Yeah.
like that just is like such a snapshot in time.
That
It's got Ant-Man. No, I'm just
genre,
kidding.
that like mid-budget comedy.
Yeah, they don't make them
Dude,
anymore.
they don't make them anymore.
Not to
It's
be
such
that
a
guy.
shame.
They literally
Yeah.
don't, though.
Yeah.
Oh, God, that's good. Okay, so Craggle, Crazy Groot, the Master Builders end up messing everything up. And yeah, I think the big meat and potatoes comes from, like Evan said it earlier, when Will Ferrell was like, did you make all this, like, yourself? Kid's like, yeah, man, having fun down here. What are you doing? And I just think, like, I could go on and on about, like, why the themes in this movie, like, I said the script is what's holding it up. It's the themes that are the pillars of this, though. Just the bringing back of imagination. Naturally, as you get older, your imagination starts to fade and whatever. And it was just like such a nice way. Like, I don't want to say Lego was like dunking on themselves in their instructions, but they were like, this is for everyone. You play how you want. And it was just like so refreshing as a theme, and it was like unique. It's not like major movie themes that we get most of the time. And it hit me hard. I was like, I used to be a kid and have dreams and wonder and daydream. Like, not anymore. I pay bills and do taxes.
Yeah, I think the dialogue, the script, everything is obviously well executed, but it's these themes of like protecting the inner child, allowing them to blossom. I think it's that message that makes this movie have a lasting impact. It makes us sort of look back at it as fondly as we do our childhoods, because that's like sort of what it surfaces for everyone.
Yeah, and I think it'll continue to stand this test of time as well. It's kind of a timeless message. And, you know, like Legos are still a thing that kids are getting. And like, as you get older, you give your bucket of random pieces to some random kid in the neighborhood or whatever. And like, I remember when this came out, I had just given all my my junk Legos to like this kid, like this family friend of ours. And, you know, it's like, it's the same, like kind of Toy Story 3, like going off to college. Like, I'm in this new chapter of my life. But yeah, no, rewatching, I think we touched on this a bit earlier, but like, I think it really threads the needle well of not being too corny or trying to like hit us in the face with the message. But it's like, it's such a relatable thing. It's like, now it's like, yeah, you could do Legos like you're putting together IKEA furniture, but isn't it more fun if you're just like screwing around and like putting Indiana Jones on the Death Star or whatever? Like, it's just so much more fun that way. And to your point, Alex, about like how we don't use our imagination as much. I did my first D&D session the other day on it was
You're talking to the right dude.
I love
It
D&D.
was
I play
so-
twice a month.
I get it now.
Yeah.
I get it now. Like 100% get it. Like
It's addicting.
Franny from 44 does a podcast with her and Kane and Carson and
I'm behind,
Matt.
but I love it.
It's great. And
yeah.
you know, we're buddies, and I've been like, yeah, I'll go on. And I like I was like, I'll be a good sport. Like, admittedly, I never told her that, but I think she could tell I wasn't 100% like fully into it. And I'd seen the D&D movie and I enjoyed it. And I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. Blew me away. And a big part of it was, as an adult, you don't get to just release yourself from the world and your phone and just like fuck around and come up with crazy stuff. And like, yeah, like this movie and then playing D&D, it like really kind of tapped into that, which is just not something we do every day anymore. Yeah,
I literally
cool.
wasn't going to say this because I feel like I say it quite often, but this reminded me of D&D, just getting the whole group together and having a mission, and it's crazy and wild, and you're jumping through all, going dimension. This movie, I had a thought also. This kicked off this whole multiverse era. It's not a multiverse movie per se, but it's damn near close to one with all these different Lego worlds. But I totally agree. It reminded me of D&D, and a big part of that is just the use of imagination and just like you said, letting yourself go. And I mean, if you're like, I don't know if you are, Owen, but if you're a former theater kid, go play D&D. You will absolutely be in love with it. It's everything you're looking for in a game.
And I am not, and I still loved it.
Yeah.
Also, if you weren't a former theater kid like us, if you were doing social cool things in high school, you will also enjoy. If you're doing sports, you'll enjoy D&D.
It's the immersion in the role play, though, that I think the former theater kids end up really appreciating from what I've seen. But Evan's right. There's something for everyone. There's combat, there's role play, there's mystery, there's puzzles. It's a blast. You find a great DM, and you'll have a great time. Awesome. I love to hear that though. Yeah. But so I was watching the Lego movie on my desk, and I didn't even freaking put together. I was like, I have a bunch of Lego figurines. I got Daredevil right
Daredevil?
here. Yeah,
Nice.
I got Daredevil.
Sweet.
I got Luffy, Monkey D. Luffy right here. And then I even got Superman. I got a couple more obscure ones, but I brought the big ones around here. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, even though I have not played with Legos in like 15 years or what, probably longer, I was like, I still have these little buggers around. I still love Legos. You can't get rid of them.
One of the things I was thinking about while we were talking about this movie is a lot of times we talk about how like animation is like this great medium because it allows the expressiveness, the imaginativeness, and like for a lot of like the humor in this movie, it would probably work for like if you had like big expressive anime like faces like that, really selling the joke. But I think part of what like an added like a cherry on top is that this goes the opposite way and uses the rigidity of the Legos, and like, you know, so it's all CGI, but they rig their characters with all the limitations of the actual pieces, and so those limitations play across like beautifully. It's a weird thing. I don't know.
Even
no
their
limitations
faces,
make the creativity blossom.
even their
you're
faces
100% right.
are the just stock faces of a Lego. It's simple.
Or even like the Xeroxing their butt joke, and they've got the little holes in their legs, and like it's perfect. It's perfect. And that's a perfect point. Like it really is like taking advantage of what they're working with and just like playing within the lines that they've set themselves up with by being a Lego movie, but like executing it really smartly, I thought.
Which is what the movie, I guess the moral of the story is like, you know, playing within or literally thinking outside of the blocks.
That's a good one. I like I said, the comedy is what brings you in. The nice animation keeps you around. But man, that heartfelt message of just like release the inner child within, like really got me good. I mean, that's part of why we do this podcast, to cover cartoons, is to tap into that childhood nostalgia and what we love. And so Evan brings up a great point of like, this movie is obviously one of the reasons animation should flourish. Like, this is such a great use of it. No, it's not stop motion, but like it's in the same vein of a stop motion. Whereas to touch on some recent news, the Minecraft movie trailer looked pretty bad, in my opinion.
I'm not a big Minecraft person, so I try not to pass too much judgment, but it did not inspire me to book a ticket necessarily.
Honestly, I don't play Minecraft either. I don't know who Jack Black is playing. People seem to be offended by him saying, "I'm Steve." But I think the most offensive thing about the trailer is
Jason Momoa's
Jason
haircut.
Momoa in that weird leather jacket situation. I think he needs to find he needs to get out of these typecast roles because he doesn't do it great. Unfortunately,
To me, it looks like a Jumanji though, where they're going into the game. But like, if this movie right here is any lesson, like, no, tell the story in your world. I think that's like, I guess we did get the outside perspective of them playing with the Legos at the end, but that was like a twist. You know what I mean? That was very, the story all makes sense now. It was really, it ended up like tying together some of the nonsensical things that were going on, if you will. Yeah.
Any other standout moment? Maybe like a favorite joke?
I was gonna say, let's go by through a joke, a moment, and then we can kind of do like our closing thoughts on it, and then we will give it like a score out of 5 stars, and then me and Evan will read some letterbox reviews here. So let me think. A favorite joke? God, there was so many. God, I really think it was maybe, and Owen said it earlier when Emmett was listing all of the things Octane does. He's like, they make music, they do dairy products, coffee, TV shows, surveillance, all voting. Oh, he said all history books and all voting machines. And he goes, oh, and just the that's all we get to cap it off is him, the realization of like, oh, maybe that's not good. I just think that was like so unfortunately relevant and like really like just tightly succinct. I was like, that's so good. I was like, that's great.
Yeah, tight is a good word to describe a lot of the jokes and the script and everything. I've touched on some of the Vitruvius stuff, like some of the blind jokes were just so simple but so effective for me. But I liked after when he comes back as a ghost, you can see like the dental floss holding him, and you can do the woo, like the ghost voice, and the captions were like imitates ghost or something. I forget exactly how they phrased it, but it was really good. And just the way he like shakes off of camera when he flies away and you can see the string attached. I thought that was pretty good physical comedy there.
He ends his whole thing and there's like a moment of silence and he goes, ooh, again.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. I can't think of like a big bit, but like a lot of my favorite moments are just those throwaway jokes that like they almost trail off in a way. I don't even remember the character who says it, but it's when Emmett is talking about, or like he's showing off the double-decker couch, and someone's like, "So if you're in the middle on the top, like, do you have to climb over someone to get one?" And then, like, if you're on the bottom, like, why would you want to watch TV looking through
legs dangling down?
It's president business.
Bad cop or bad cop.
Oh yeah, it's one of the two of them. Yeah, they're ragging on the invention.
It's such a minor thing. Not relevant to the plot, but they take the time to have this meandering conversation, and it's so worth it.
Yeah.
Well, and it's like it signals to us, like when you're gooping around playing, coming up with dumb stuff, you do have that voice in your head. It's like, what is this? Why would this X-wing have a castle on the wing or whatever? And you're like, shut up! Like it doesn't matter. I'm just having fun here.
This is a rocket dragon now. It's got part dragon, part rocket. Yeah. You know, so. I thought that was really good. And then just while so Vesuvius gets his head chopped off and he goes, what I'm about to tell you may change the course of history. And then he dies. And that was so good. I like should have known it was coming, but I like leaned in. I was like, what's this? Oh, he died. Yeah. Got me good.
It was perfect.
Jam-packed. So, all right, now what we'll do here, and me and Evan can start, we're going to give just our closing thoughts on the Lego movie as a whole. And we'll give it a score out of 5 stars. Just kind of a summation. Evan, do you want to start or you want me to start?
I'll start.
Okay, go.
This is an interesting rewatch because obviously it was hugely successful when it came out, but it's one of those movies I haven't gone to revisit. It's not like a Pixar or a Ghibli film that people talk about as like one of these films that truly stand the test of time. It'll have a cult following or any of that. It just sort of kind of made its impact, faded a little bit, but it is so worth revisiting for all the reasons we've talked about today. Maybe my short pitch is like, it's a very funny Matrix movie that makes you feel like a kid. It's just so worth the ride. There's not a minute that goes by that is not like trying or being very successful at making you laugh and turning on the light switch back to your sort of childhood imagination. So, 5 out of 5 stars.
Yeah, nice. Owen, you want to go, or you want me
Sure.
to go first?
No, I'll go.
Okay.
I agree with everything Evan said. I also think they executed the kind of the winks to it having the real world. Like, we didn't even talk about like the Q-tip and the cloak of Ben Daid, and like you're
Ben
getting
Daid
the
killed
Ben
me.
Daid. It's so good, and it's just like this old hairy Band-Aid. Like, I thought that was just so clever and funny. And then, like I said, the twist really caught me off guard at the time, and I thought they did it really smartly. And I really think it accomplished the goal of, or I don't know if it was a like explicit goal they had set, but I think it just thread the needle so well of like having this really heartfelt and sweet message, but it's not so ham-fisted that it's like annoying, you know? So yeah, I had a blast watching it again. So yeah, I'd give it a 5, or if if you're like a film critic or whatever, maybe like a 4, 4.5, but like,
Nah.
it's just fun. No, it's a
just
5 out of
fun.
5 for me. It's like,
Yeah.
it's a tight hour and a half minus the credits basically. And it's just, it's a really enjoyable watch. So yeah, while it's still on Netflix, everybody should go rewatch it. It's a good time.
Well said. Well said. Okay, so I got to come in here and bring some realism. No, I'm just totally kidding. Okay, so this, to me, and I say this a few times, so I hope it's not like becoming cheesy. These movies are why we made this podcast. But not necessarily to bring light to and attention to this great animated thing. Just like accessing imagination, your wildest fights and dreams and action sequences with Batman and Wonder Woman and all these people, and it just flicking the switch of your inner child, like Evan said. And like Owen said, I never felt it was corny or cheesy. I never once was like, okay, we get what you're doing here. It was very sincere throughout the whole time. I thought the humor was top notch. Like some of the comedies we've listed, like from the past, you would definitely rewatch and be like, well, I don't approve of that joke anymore. But this, I thought I didn't feel like there was anything that I was like, oh, well, that aged poorly, which happens in comedy sometimes, which I think is such a testament. I truly believe what I said at the top of this podcast. This is an instant classic. This is something when I do my stars, it's like, how likely am I to recommend this to someone? I could recommend this to anyone, and I really think they would enjoy it, in all honesty. 5 out of 5 stars. I think this is 2 weeks in a row. Me and Evan have given 5 out of 5, so this is amazing. But I can't give it anything less, just because, like Owen said, if I was a film critic, maybe a 4. But like the fun and enjoyment I had while watching this trumped anything it was missing for me.
Off the charts on the fun meter.
Yeah.
And as you were saying that, Alex, one thing too, like this is a movie I would be excited to show my future kids, Like that is such a like becoming a measuring stick for me, because now a lot of my friends, they've got like 1.5, 2-year-olds, and they're
Evan's a new father himself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, congratulations. Yeah. So like this is going to be one of those ones where you're like, yo, we're watching the Lego
You'll
movie.
be a cool parent.
Yeah,
for sure.
You'll be the opposite of President Business.
Exactly. And then you're going to have a toddler singing "Everything is Awesome" all over your house, But
for like a 2 years straight, they don't stop singing it. And you know what? The ending was super sweet. He's like, you know what this means now that you get to play down here too? And he's like, what? He's like, your sister gets to also. And the look on the kid's face was like, no. So good. I thought every tiny detail. Oh, even in the real world, when Emmett's like flopping on the desk, I was edge of my seat. I knew how the movie was going to end, still on the edge of my seat the whole time. I was like, where's this going? Look at him flop. So really great. Absolutely loved it. So those are our closing thoughts. What we'll do here, we get all 5 stars. Yes, 15 stars. That's awesome. Me and Evan are going to wrap up just with a couple of animation headlines news here. I know we just talked about it before we got on, Evan, but what's our first piece of news? I've already forgotten.
Well, before we do that, we can hit 1 or 2 Letterboxd reviews that
I skipped
we personally
over.
enjoyed.
Please.
All good. Don't.
I'm
You're
excited.
So frazzled
I'm
by
excited.
This movie.
Yeah. Everything
this
is
one
awesome.
I found very funny. 4.5 stars. Dumbsville writes, "This movie is my Black Panther," and that might not be the most PC joke, but I think it speaks to the sort of emotional experience that
Mhm.
this film going experience gives, and to sort of loop it back to what you guys are saying, like, sure, maybe a film bro, a film critic, a very esteemed, knowledgeable viewer would have things to criticize this movie for, but like, we watch movies not based on vibe, but like, this is what we want out of a movie going experience, like a shared emotional thing. You laughed, you almost cried a little bit. And I think bring this back to another core tenet of this podcast, dunking on Marvel, is like, I think that's what we're lacking these days. Is like, we had Captain America pick up the shield, and since then it's just like we have to do homework, and like
All
they're
downhill.
not doing not that but anyways, that's another topic. But
So, I got the very first one, 4.5 stars, and it says, Emmett, you didn't let me finish earlier because I died. That's the sort of, because also at this point, I'm pretty sure we've realized it's the child playing all these kids. So it's just like, oh my God, that is so funny the way he phrased that. 5 stars, masterpiece. So we're not alone. The people here seem to really like this. Much better. Last week, we covered Isle of Dogs, and I thought the Letterboxd reviews were going to be glowing, and they were not.
Really?
Yeah,
That
I was
surprises
surprised.
me.
they're like middling. I think Wes
Interesting.
Anderson is just divisive like that in a way.
That's fair. That's fair. I haven't seen some of his newer stuff, but I do love a lot of Wes Anderson movies.
Same,
Um, While we're still on the topic of Lego, before you go into the animation news, I did want to ask, do y'all have like a memory of like a certain Lego that you had growing up that was your like, you know, your piece your piece of resistance, if you will, but no, like your pride and joy Lego?
So for me, my Lego experience is actually a surrogate experience through my cousin Brett and Ryan. They had the huge tub of Legos, so every time we went over there, that was like how we spent hours and hours and hours. And I just remember I don't want to call it a castle, but like a castle house type deal that I just had these dudes living in, and they like let me keep it for like multiple times of coming over. And I was like, this is my domain. Like I remember it so vividly. And it was like a bunch of hodgepodge pieces, the color mismatched. And I was just like, I built this with my hand. Like, I just remember it so vividly, like you're saying.
Yeah, I can't think of a specific Lego. We didn't collect or have a lot of them at my house. I think I was really big into action figures, but like the thing that this movie taps into is like me and my older brother, we would play out these like Shakespearean dramas, like like episodically. Like there would be an ongoing arc
Story.
for weeks at a time. There were relationships formed between like the Batman and the Catwoman toy, and like there were teams like that's what this movie like sort of unlocks and takes me back.
100%.
Yeah. What about you?
I had two like warring factions where I had this like
I love this.
cool like Indiana Jones-esque seaplane that I then like tricked out with like lasers and stuff. And then I had Jango Fett's ship, Slave One.
That
Oh.
And then so I had the good guys and the bad guys. And
Nice.
then, yeah, like you said, Evan, you know, that's just like these big epic battles between good and evil. And like I had the different squads, and it's fun. So yeah, like you said, this movie really, really took it back. So yeah, it felt
Now-
like asking you all that.
Now, since bequeathing your Legos on to you know a future generation, have you since gotten any new Legos?
I have not. So I did. I had one set that a friend gave me for Christmas one year, just like a little one, which was fun to put together. But I was actually going to ask y'all, like, if you ever check, like, I've looked up how much the
such an
Lego Millennium
expensive
Falcon
hobby.
costs. It is. It's so expensive. If I had one survivor, perhaps
We're
I would have
all-
bought the Lego Death Star or Millennium Falcon for myself. But the thought has crossed my mind for sure to pick one of those up. I think that would be something I would like when I have kids, hopefully, you know,
You'd
that
be
would be
good with
But then you turn
activity to
into
do
Will
together.
Ferrell's character.
Exactly.
No,
Don't
no,
don't
it's
do
a
it.
sphere. It's a sphere. Yeah. No, I'm the same way. Every time I like think, I'm like, I could get into Legos. I like look up a set and I'm like, I don't have the money.
Cannot, yeah.
I can't get into Legos anymore.
Yeah.
I was.
But no, I
The
just-
Millennium Falcon. Oh, well, there's a smaller one, but like the real.
There's a big one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, there's one. The building set 75257 is $136 at Target. That's not
That's
too bad.
doable still, but then like if you're saying that's the small one, I'm usually looking at the big boys.
A
Like,
Lego AT-AT is $850.
See,
Or
it's just
the
like,
ultimate Millennium Falcon expert building set
Mm.
is $839. So yeah, not anytime soon, unfortunately.
I think,
was
you said, that's a good toddler activity, something to get them into. It's good hand-eye coordination, also
Yeah.
creativity.
A gift mostly for me, but with the pretense.
I'll
that
help
it's for
you.
the kid.
Yeah, let me help. I can
Yeah, you
help.
want to help me put this together? Yeah.
I was in Target yesterday and we were passing the toy aisle, and I just saw how big the boxes are. And I was like, I'm not even gonna go investigate. Like, the boxes look intimidating.
They have a D&D set out now too, and I was like,
Oh, wow.
I was like, I gotta get this, and I was just like, I also don't have anywhere to like put it right now.
It's another
It's not the
big thing.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do some news.
Yeah.
This first one is maybe two interconnected things. Inside Out 2 has now officially dethroned. I feel like we've been following the Inside Out 2 ascension. Dethroned the Lion King live action remake as the highest grossing animated film in history.
I take up in arms that the Lion King live action remake is considered animated, but I will only
it's all
protest a little.
CGI.
It's all CGI.
But I think that brings us to maybe a more sad piece of news, which is that today, a couple hours ago, James Earl Jones, famous actor known for voicing Darth Vader and Mufasa. I forget he did Mufasa, passed away today in his home. So
I'm glad we got one last Darth Vader out of him, even though Disney Plus Star Wars is not always my favorite. Obi-Wan, I thought it was really cool. We got a couple of lines of him. So, very sad news, though. Mufasa was my childhood, and so the voice actor dying is bringing back emotions from young me.
Well, and they're doing a Mufasa prequel. I was looking at, so the timing might, I don't know, have an impact.
Is he in that?
there.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
I don't
know.
But
yeah, that was sad news. But he was 93. That's a hell of a run.
Lived a long life and will be remembered.
I imagine there will be a dedication in that movie because that's going to be out in December.
Good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, arguably Darth Vader, the most famous villain in movie history.
Mm-hmm. Iconic for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sad news. My bit of news is maybe a bit more happy. After numerous complaints, Hot Ones has finally included the animators and the producers in the end credits for their episode with Donald Duck. I'm not usually one that's like out here like, hey, you should do this. But when I saw they didn't have that, I was like, no, that's kind of disappointing. We fight for animation around here. So I was glad that they listened and they were able to edit. If anything, I appreciate when people hear new information and change their mind. And I love Hot Ones.
Yeah. I have here Nintendo confirms Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild take place in their own Legend of Zelda timeline.
I needed to know that one.
Yeah.
That was big for me. What's going on with this timeline? I needed to know.
I wonder how that will factor into what they're doing for movies. Which I'm very curious to know.
I bet you they follow these two most recent ones, this new timeline thing.
Are you big into gaming?
I do game a good bit, but so I loved Ocarina of Time, and I do have Breath of the Wild, but I didn't buy it at the right time. I should have bought it right at the beginning of COVID. I kind of bought my Switch as it was ending, and I've never I need to carve out 5 hours to really just
dive in,
sit there and dive in. But yeah, I've got my Xbox right here. I'm replaying Red Dead 2 right now, which is one of my favorite games of all time. I've been playing an embarrassing amount of College Football 25.
That's great.
Yeah, and then Apex Legends is the game I've played the most over the past couple years, probably. So
hell yeah. I've been going through I never played them once like you at the wrong time here, but I'm playing the old Spider-Man games from 2018 and then the Miles Morales
I heard those
one.
are excellent. Yeah.
Amazing. Just unreal. I'm blown away each time. I go through phases of gaming. I'm either the biggest gamer in the world or I play no video games at all.
I got one more piece. An animated adaptation of Stephanie Meyer's Midnight Sun is in the works at Netflix. The series will follow a retelling of Twilight from the perspective of Edward Cullen.
I actually think this is pretty big news. Obviously, Twilight has its own mainstream and cult following, but the Midnight Sun project, I don't know if she ever actually wrote the book. I'm pretty sure she did. But like people were like going crazy for this Edward perspective of Twilight. And so the fact that they're choosing an animated Netflix adaptation, I'm no Twilight fan, but count me Team Edward here. I'm excited to see what they got.
I never got huge into this franchise. I watched some of the movies, but it's a good time to be a millennial, I think. They are catering to us right now.
Seriously.
That's great. That's the headline there. And then my last one is the Wendy's is going to be releasing a real life Krabby Patty this fall.
Okay.
I'm excited to try it. Can't believe Mr. Krabs sold the formula after all these years.
Yeah.
But like he said, I'll do anything for money. Yeah. So no, thought that's funny. Yeah, it's not like the Chick-fil-A news. I saw your face when I started, Evan. You're like, Wendy's. Yes, that's all I got news-wise. This has been great. Owen, before we go, one last little bit of thing here. We got Survivor 47 right around the bend. You excited?
40
Are you 40 several? Yeah, for the real fans. Are you excited? Have you been diving into preseason, anything like that? Do you?
I have.
I guess this is a better question. Do you know the people playing now? Like you probably have talked to a lot of them, right?
A little bit, a couple DMs here and there. But yeah, I am excited. I was texting with a couple of my other friends from like the 43, 44, 42 kind of, you know, we're a few years out now. We're not as like entrenched in the community the same way we were when it was still super fresh. But for me, like I'm just such a fan at heart that like, even though I maybe wanted to resist it a little bit and like play it cool and be like, no, I don't care as much anymore. Like as soon as those Mike Bloom interviews started dropping and you can hear them like sizing each other up and whatnot, it's super fun. That's the most fascinating thing for me is like thinking about how they react to each other in the pregame. Because for those who don't know, there's about 5 days before the game starts where everyone's in Fiji doing the interviews, but you can't talk. So you know, they're saying, oh, this guy, Evan, he's got glasses. Like, he's doing his...
He's smart.
He's reading,
he's reading.
Like, it's really... It's so wild to hear. And, you know, people are really good about not, like, dunking on anyone. But it's so funny just being like, oh, the guy with curly hair, I've smiled at him, like, 5 times, and he's never smiled back. Like, I eat that shit up, because I'm just like, how will this play out on the show?
It's such an interesting dynamic of everyone being there, but there's, like, a strict, like, no one talks to each other till the game starts. Yeah. So you're just like looking at each other and you're like trying to make like nice eye contact with someone like, hey,
but not
food?
too creepy, but not smile too big. Yeah. And I'm fortunate. I can move my eyebrows a lot.
That's
so
good.
Like,
that's good.
I would give people a little like, hey, you know, how you doing? But it's so fun. But yeah, I've got a couple rooting interests. If anyone listening to this listens to Rob Has a Podcast, one of their podcasters, Asia, is on the season.
Exciting.
Yeah, everyone's excited for her. There's a RHAP patron named Andy who's on, and then most famously, John Lovett from Pod Save America is on. So,
it's the season for the podcasters. We're excited for that.
They've got a radio host and an esports commentator. Like, there's a lot of good communicators. So I'm excited for like the confessionals and stuff. Like,
that's
a lot of professional talkers, professional yappers, if you will. You know,
professional yappers are meant to be in the confessional booth. Great point. Great point.
100%.
Last thing then, before we get going here, I didn't want this to detract at all from your visit here, but you now hold a very special place on the podcast here, Owen. You are now our third place survivor that has played. So our first one was Xander a good while ago. And then we recently had Jake on earlier this year to cover Pokemon.
Fantastic.
And so I was hoping, you guys could talk about it if you got a group chat or anything. But no,
we
me and Evan had
to support group.
Me and Evan had to look into. I was like, why am I always rooting for these people that get third? I was like, what is going on with my
chillest
picks?
placement?
All
apparently.
all three of you were my winner picks. All three of you got third. Yeah, really insane. Really insane.
So look out, whoever you pick for 47. Like
haven't named them yet. I will.
Whoever
save
gets third place has this podcast to look forward to.
Exactly.
You're coming
I
on.
hope you like cartoon.
No, that's great. Oh, and honestly, thank you so much for coming here, though, talking the Lego movie. Like I said, we love bringing in people who are excited about things, and so when you were like, I love the Lego movie, it was just the push we needed to really get into it. So this was great. Where can people follow you? Twitter, Instagram? What? Before we wrap up here, anything you want to pitch to the people? Now's your chance.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm easy to find. I'm the Young Knight on Instagram, and then it's spelled with a 0 instead of an O on Twitter. So yeah, you can look me up, tweet me, whatever. But yeah, this was super fun. Like I said at the top, we've been talking back and forth since my season came out, but it was good to talk with you, Evan. It was great to meet you as well. And I loved this. This was super fun. And I'm excited to go back and check out y'all's library of episodes and listen to more. And yeah, this was a blast.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We love having people here. Look, nothing complicated here. No homework like Marvel movies. We're just gushing over our favorite properties. This is a great transition, though, that if you like this episode, like Owen said, we have a great backlog of things that you're going to like. Also, please go check them out on Apple, Spotify, and on YouTube. Make sure you follow us at Two Dudes Watch Cartoons on both Instagram and TikTok. And wherever you're listening, just make sure you leave a rate and review, and helps people find the podcast. We always appreciate it. This was such a good time. I'm not even kidding. Like, obviously, me and Evan love doing this, but this was just so fun to talk about because, like, I just the themes and the comedy just all is so tight. Like, normally we got to come in here and be like, well, this wasn't my favorite thing or blah, blah. Like, I didn't have any of that. So truly, this was a blast. Owen, thank you for being here. Evan, take us home.
That'll do it for this episode of Two Dudes Watch Cartoons. We will catch you next time.
Two dudes watch cartoons.